I'm very hopeful that we will read what Srila Prabhupada has taught us. We will discuss what Srila Prabhupada has taught us for our purification. And also, I'm hoping that it will be very joyful because these are Krishna Leelas, a very sweet pastime. So I'm praying that you all are happy hearing these pastimes together in this assembly. So thank you again for your blessings, for your kind attendance here. And I will be sharing the screen. So first, let's read the pastime. This is chapter 7, and this is from Krishna book that Srila Prabhupada summarized for us. And the salvation of Trinavarta is the name of the chapter. Trinavarta is one of the demons who is sent by Kamsa for killing Krishna in Vrindavan, Balaram in Vrindavan. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna is always full with 6 opulences, namely complete wealth, complete strength, complete fame, complete knowledge, complete beauty, and complete renunciation. The Lord appears in different complete eternal forms of incarnation. The conditioned soul has immense opportunity to hear about the transcendental activities of the Lord in these different incarnations. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said, Janma karma cha me divyam. The pastimes and activities of the Lord are not material. They are beyond the material conception. And the conditioned soul can benefit by hearing such uncommon activities. Hearing is an opportunity to associate with the Lord. To hear his activities is to evolve one's transcendental nature simply by hearing. The conditioned soul has a natural aptitude to hear something about other conditioned souls in the form of fiction, drama, novel. That inclination to hear something about others may be utilized in hearing the pastimes of the Lord. Then one can immediately evolve his transcendental nature. Krishna's pastimes are not only beautiful, they're also very pleasing to the mind. So we'll skip a little bit here. And it is saying when Krishna grew up a little more, from the pastime of Putana, trying to kill Krishna, rather Krishna kill Putana, that pastime you heard yesterday. And after that, when Krishna grew up a little more, I think he was even less than a year still, he began to turn himself backside up. He did not merely lie down on his back, like this is one of the most important developmental stages when the infant baby is growing up in the first year. And that's what Krishna is depicting here. And another function was observed by Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj, Krishna's first birthday. So here Krishna is 1 year old. They arranged for Krishna's birthday ceremony, which is still observed by all followers of the Vedic principles. And that's what is coming up, Janmashtami, right? All the cowherd men and women were invited to participate in the jubilant celebration. A nice band played, and the assembled people enjoyed it. All the learned brahmanas were invited, and they chanted Vedic hymns for the good fortune of Krishna. During the chanting of the Vedic hymns and playing of the bands, Krishna was bathed by Mother Yashoda. This bathing ceremony is technically known as Abhishek. And even today, we observe that in our temples on Janmashtami especially. And in our temple, we are celebrating this Abhishek ceremony. We are inviting all the donors to come forward so we can do nice Abhishek to Bhagwan Krishna on Janmashtami. On this occasion of Krishna's birthday, Mother Yashoda arranged to distribute a large quantity of grain and first-class cows decorated with golden ornaments. Ornaments. What is that? I think there's some mistake here. The first-class cows decorated with golden ornaments were made ready to be given in charity to the learned, respectable Brahmins. Yashoda took her bath and dressed herself nicely, taking child Krishna, duly dressed and bathed, on her lap, and she sat down to hear the Vedic hymns chanted by the Brahmins. While Mother Yashoda was listening to the chanting of the Vedic hymns, The child appeared to be falling asleep, and therefore she very silently laid him down on the bed. Being engaged in receiving all the friends and relatives and residents of Vrindavan on that holy occasion, she forgot to feed the child milk. He was crying, being hungry, but Mother Yashoda could not hear him cry because of the various noises. The child, however, became angry because he was hungry and his mother was not paying attention to him. So he lifted his legs and began to kick his lotus feet just like an ordinary child. Actually, in this story, if we skip it a little bit forward, this actually is the Shatkasura story, where Yashodamaya keeps him under the cart, and as all the celebrations are going on, she finds a very safe place under this big cart to keep Krishna. And then Krishna kicked the cart, and then this Shatkasur, who was present in the form of the cart, fell down and died. But Krishna was still shining like any other situation. So this we will skip a little bit and let's see where is our Trunavarta. Um, One day, shortly after the ceremony, when Mother Yashoda was patting her baby on her lap, the baby felt too heavy, and being unable to carry him, she unwillingly placed him on the ground. After a while, she became engaged in household affairs. At that time, a servant of Kamsa, known as Trunavarta, as instructed by Kamsa, appeared there in the shape of a whirlwind, like a tornado. And he picked the child up on his shoulders and raised a great dust storm all over Vrindavan, covering everyone's eyes. Within a few seconds or moments, the whole area of Vrindavan became so densely dark that no one could see himself or anyone else. During this great catastrophe, Mother Yashoda could not see her baby, who had been taken away by the whirlwind, and she began to cry very piteously. She fell down on the ground exactly like a cow who has just lost her calf. When Mother Yashoda was so piteously crying, all the cowherd women immediately came and began to look for the baby, but they were disappointed and could not find him. This Trunavarta demon went high in the sky with baby Krishna on its shoulder. But the baby assumed such a weight that suddenly he could not go any further, and he had to stop his whirlwind activities. Baby Krishna made himself heavy and began to weigh down the demon, catching hold of his neck. Runavarta felt the baby to be as heavy as a big mountain, and he tried to get out of his clutches, but he was unable to do so. And his eyes popped out from their sockets, and crying very fiercely, he fell down on the grounds of Vrindavan and died. The demon fell exactly like Tripurasur, who was pierced by the arrows of Lord Shiva. Trinavarta hit a stone slab and his limbs were smashed. His body became visible to all the inhabitants of Vrindavan. When the gopis saw the demon killed and child Krishna very happily playing on his body, they immediately picked Krishna with great affection. The cowherd men and women became very happy to get back their beloved child Krishna. At that time, they began to talk about how wonderful it was that the demon had taken away the child to devour him, but could not do so. Instead, he fell down dead. Some of them supported the situation. This is proper because those who are too sinful die from their sinful reactions. And child Krishna is pious, therefore, he is safe from all kinds of fearful situations. And we too must have performed great sacrifices in our previous lives, worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, giving great wealth in charity, and acting philanthropically for the general welfare of people. Because of such pious activities, child is safe from all danger. That was their philosophy. The gopis assembled there spoke among themselves. What sort of austerities and penances we must have undergone in our previous lives? We must have worshipped the Supreme Personality of Godhead offered different kinds of sacrifices, made charities, performed many welfare activities for the public, such as growing banyan trees, excavating wells. And as a result of these pious activities, we have gotten back our child, even though he was supposed to be dead. Now he has come back to enliven his relatives. In this way, the gopis were talking, and after observing such wonderful happenings, Nanda Maharaj began to think of the words of Vasudev again and again. After this incident, when Yashoda once was nursing her child and patting him with great affection, there streamed a profuse supply of milk from her breast, and when she opened the mouth of the child with her fingers, she suddenly saw the universal manifestation within his mouth. She saw within the mouth of Krishna the whole sky, including the luminaries, stars in all directions, the sun, moon, fire, air, seas, islands, mountains, rivers, forests, and all other movable and immovable entities. When Mother Yashoda saw this, her heart began to throb, and she murmured within herself, "How wonderful this is!" She could not express anything but simply closed her eyes. She was absorbed in wonderful thoughts. Krishna, showing the universal form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even when lying down on her lap of his mother, proves that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is always the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whether he is manifested as a child on the lap of his mother or as a charioteer on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. The concoction of the impersonalists that one can become God by meditation or by some artificial material activities is herewith declared false. God is always God in any condition or status, and the living entities are always parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord. They can never be equal to the inconceivable supernatural power of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is the story that Srila Prabhupada wrote based on Srimad Bhagavatam in the Krishna book, chapter 7. And we just read the story, and we'll talk a little bit about the story. We'll talk a little bit about this philosophy of the demons' activities in Krishna Lila, what they mean and what they mean to us, and what can we learn from them. So there are great lessons. I'm sure in last two sessions, you probably heard the background, the introduction as to what is the significance of these stories of Krishna killing different kinds of demons. So today, I will also say a few things on the same lines, and I hope they are not too much repetition for you. And then we'll see special significance of the story of Trunavarta today. So let me share another screen. So here I would like to read a few things. And so in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur has written a book called Chaitanya Shikshashtakam. And in that, he has written the inner meanings of the pastimes of Bhagavan Krishna. And while writing these pastimes, he has also written about the demons that manifested in Vraja Gokula on earth, and what was their symbolic significance of those stories of Krishna killing these demons. So that he has written, Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And it is written that there are anarthas, so every demon that appeared in Krishna Lila was representing one anartha, and that anartha also had an inner meaning. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur related those anarthas to the sadhakas, like how in our bhakti path, in our journey, what those anarthas mean, how can they make an havoc on our bhakti path, and how can we subdue them, how can we control them, how can we win over them. So those kind of discussions happen in this Chaitanya Shikshashtakam. So these are called occasional leelas or naimittik leelas. They are not like Ashta Kaliya leelas of Radha Krishna, Ashtakal, Ashtaprahar, like there are 8 times of the day, and there are relevant to each part of the day. There are relevant activities of Radha and Krishna. The pastimes of demons are not of that category, but they are occasional. They're called naimittic. They just happen when Krishna is 6 months old, when Krishna is 1 year old, when Krishna is 5 years, 7 years old. So they happen because these demons used to appear occasionally, one after the other. So these kind of occasional leelas, or pastimes of killing the demons, are mentioned in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and there are 20 demons. And the sadhakas, or spiritual practitioners like us, they purify their hearts from all impediments, obstacles, anarthas or aparadhas or offenses by studying these stories. Because after we remove these impediments or anarthas, we are actually eligible to make very quick progress on the path of bhakti. So these stories of uh, Bhagavan Krishna killing the demons are actually related to the anarthas. And as we read those stories, we realize, we understand, we learn about those anarthas, and then we literally search in our heart, where are those anarthas? And then we pray to Bhagavan Krishna, and we also work on our own heart, on our own personality, on our own mind, to remove those anarthas, to remove those impediments or unwanted behaviors. So this is the whole idea. And then it's mentioned that until one reaches the platform of bhava bhakti, it is necessary to cultivate devotion by meditating on these occasional leelas, and also the leelas of Radha Krishna, but mainly these naimittic or these occasional leelas of Krishna killing demons, they should be meditated upon, because that they are good for our cultivation of bhakti. And by reading and remembering um, these leelas, a devotee can destroy all the obstacles they are that are on the path of developing the bhakti rasa with Radha Krishna's eternal pastimes. So, with a sincere desire to become purified of all material contaminations, one should read the below mentioned pastimes from the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And with all humility, one should pray to Krishna and Balram to remove the impurities within oneself, personified by the demons whom they killed. So again, in other words, these demons, they personify different kinds of impurities, anarthas, or it is said aparadhas, obstacles, impediments, bad qualities. And these, um, when the sadhakas, they understand these, and they pray to Krishna and Balram. It's very specifically mentioned that we pray to Krishna and Balram to remove these obstacles or impurities, then we will be on the path of bhakti. So these demons are killed by Krishna in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and they represent various anarthas, as I said before. And these undesirable impurities and demoniac qualities must be completely uprooted from the core of one's heart. Only 100% pure devotee of Krishna can live eternally in Vrindavan, blissfully serving the divine couple. So basically, we have to purify ourselves gradually by listening to the stories of Krishna killing these different demons. So if a devotee cries out humbly and sincerely to Bhagavan Krishna to remove these demoniac qualities, which are represented by the demons killed by Lord Krishna, then Krishna himself will remove these evils. But the next line is very important, that but the devotees must personally work to drive out the anarthas represented by the demons killed by Lord Balaram. This is a mystery of Raj Bhajan, and the aspirant must personally remove these strong impediments with his or her best care and efforts, and by obtaining the mercy of Krishna. If the devotee's humility becomes very deep and intense, then Krishna will be merciful. And in that case, the feeling of Lord Balaram will arise in his mind and quickly destroy these demoniac qualities. Then one will gradually improve his cultivation of bhajana, meaning the hearing, chanting and meditating on the pastimes of Lord Krishna. So they have given this whole process, and we will discuss a little bit more on these in this last paragraph, that how there are two things. If we want to learn the anarthas represented by these demons, and we want to reconnect, we want to connect them to our hearts, like how our hearts also carry the same kind of qualities or feelings or mentalities that these demons had. And then we realize that in order to remove those, there are two things. One is mentioned is that we pray to Bhagavan Krishna to remove those anarthas from our heart. Just like Krishna removed the demons coming one by one in his leelas on Vrindavan Bhumi. Similarly, if we pray to Krishna, then Krishna will remove these demoniac qualities, mm, which are also represented by these demons. Then that is one option. And the other option is that we have to work on our own anarthas. We have to work on cultivating good qualities, and we have to work on purifying our hearts from these anarthas. And a combination of these two will give you success. And let's look at now the particular pastime of killing Trunavara demon in chapter 7. The anartha or the offense that this story represents, or this Trunavarta demon represents, is the argument, the quality or the mentality of doing arguments. And the inner meaning of this is that the attachment to false arguments. So how is that? We will see very shortly. But right now we will go to the last paragraph of this article, where it says that these are accepted as the stories of Lord Krishna's pastimes, and they also indicate various negative qualities that need to be eradicated from our consciousness if we are to enter into the pastimes of Lord Krishna through our meditation or through the process of bhakti yoga, by which we can one day directly enter the spiritual abode of Krishna. So, as we go on every day, when we are learning these different stories of different demons being killed by Krishna, we will be learning what are the um, offenses that are represented by these particular personalities of demons, and then what are the inner meanings that are troublesome on our path. And then we will try to learn from each one as to what we need to do. So today, what we learned right now is that these are also the various negative qualities that are in our consciousness, and we need to eradicate them to progress. And this particular story of Trinavarta is representing the puffing up due to knowledge. Because when people have high education, they lose humility and they become very puffed up, and they start thinking that everybody is below me because I am Pandit, I am wise, and no one knows as much as I know. So nobody is equal to me, everybody is below me, and I am the smartest. And in that way, people become puffed up, they become arrogant, and they hurt sometimes pure devotees who are in simple forms. They are not necessarily coming from highly intellectual perspective. So the puffed up pandits or the highly learned people fail to recognize the pure devotees in very humble forms, and then they offend them, they insult them due to their puffing up, due to their arrogance, and that becomes an obstacle on the path of their bhakti. Right? So let's also understand a little bit more how this Trunavarta is representing this high puffed up situation of a learned person who is not humble. So for that reason, I will share another document, and we'll read that together. Uh, and that is here. So what is being mentioned is that um, Trunavarta picked up baby Krishna and went higher and higher into the sky with an intention to kill him. But it is mentioned that as Trunavarta was going up and up and up, for some time Krishna was having fun, because it's almost like a helicopter. Krishna is sitting on the shoulder of this demon, and the demon is going with high speed up in the sky. And it's mentioned that this Bal Gopal was having a fun time, and he was getting the most incredible panoramic view of Rajbhumi. Like, today we have drones, and they can take a very aerial view of an area. So like that, Krishna was able to see a very panoramic view of Rajbhumi, like a drone. And when Trunavarta went very high, then Krishna began to get heavier and heavier until Trunavarta could not hold him any longer. Trunavarta was trying to push him off because he was getting too heavy. So Trunavarta wanted to throw away so that he's free from this baby, which is getting heavy. But at that time, Krishna would not let him go. Krishna snatched on his neck. And we can imagine 1-year-old child with tiny hands. These tiny hands, maybe even smaller than one nail on the finger of this Trinavarta. How that small Krishna was, just to imagine. But this Krishna, and his hand was even tinier. So with this tiniest hand, Krishna is holding the neck of this huge demon who is in the form of a tornado, and holding on to his neck. So it's beyond our imagination how Krishna did that. And that means Krishna's tiny finger or palm has all the power of this world and of this universe and of all the worlds in the spiritual sky. So the size of his palm has nothing to do with the amount of power that Krishna is holding. And that's exactly the point Srila Prabhupada mentioned, that he's God right from the beginning. He's God when he's 6 months old. He's God when he was born. He's God when he's showing all these leelas. So he didn't have to gain any power in his tiny hands. It was already there. The tiniest hands of a 1-year child, the topmost power of this universe. So in that way, he did not let Trunavarth go away. Even though Trunavarth wanted to run away by throwing away the baby and getting free from the baby, Krishna would not let him go, because Krishna wrapped his tiny arms around Trinavarta's neck, and he started choking him. So not just holding, but squeezing his neck in such a way that Trinavarta started choking. Then Trunavarta's eyes rolled out of their sockets, and he could not breathe anymore. And then he fell down on a massive stone slab down in Vrindavan Bhumi and died. So what is the meaning now? Let's understand that Trunavarta represents the false pride of material scholarship. As I mentioned before, when people become scholars, they earn big degrees, they have high education, and they think that they are pandits. And in this way, their scholarship makes them proud and arrogant. And being very learned can be a great attribute, but if it makes us proud, then the whole purpose of knowledge is lost. So vidya vinayana sampann. We say that vidya means knowledge looks good if you are humble. That is the Vedic aphorism. Being very learned in this way can be a great attribute, but if it makes us proud, then the whole purpose of gaining the knowledge is lost. Because usually the purpose of getting higher knowledge is to serve the humanity by using that knowledge. But if you don't serve the humanity, but if you become proud, then the whole purpose is lost. And the real opulence is to have transcendental knowledge like our Goswamis. And if that knowledge is properly assimilated and realized, then it will make us more and more humble. So if you don't understand the real value of the knowledge that you're trying to learn, then you do not realize its importance, you do not realize how to utilize it, and it makes us proud because we think that we have something which others don't have, and makes us proud. But if we know the real purpose of knowledge, why we are gaining it, how we are going to use it, then it will make us humble automatically. And for that purpose, the Shikshashtakam prayer that Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that has taught us, Trunadapi Sunichena, Taroriva Sahishna, Amanina Manadena, Kirtaniya Sadahari. Right? So we become Trunadapi Sunichena, we become humbler than the blade of grass, And tarorapi sahishnuna, we become tolerant as trees. And amanina, no hankering for self-respect. And manadena, give the man, giving the respect, giving the honor to others all the time, ready to do that. In that state of mind, we can actually chant the name of Hari or Kirtaniya Sadahari. So it's mentioned to be humble like the blade of grass, to be forgiving and tolerant like a tree, to offer all respects to others, and not to expect respect from others. That is true knowledge because it attracts God. Knowledge without good qualities is useless. So, just as the puffed up person goes high and high in his anticipations, in his expectations from the world, and he becomes arrogant, that represents Trunavartas going up and up and up in the sky. And because he is ill minded, because he has no understanding of what he was doing, he had to fall down. So this is what happens when somebody is puffed up because of high knowledge, not utilizing properly, becoming arrogant, right? So it is mentioned that what is the use of so-called knowledge if it does not bring about good character? Krishna will not tolerate it. It is just a matter of time till everything is vanquished. So it's a great lesson, that knowledge, if it's by our previous piety, it's given to us. There is a good chance in this life for us to gain great knowledge. But if we do not make good use of it, then we do not satisfy Krishna. In fact, we attract his anger. And in due course of time, that person loses everything, including his knowledge. So this demon, Trunavarta, of false pride, makes us think that we are going higher and higher and higher above everyone else. If we sincerely and humbly take shelter of hearing the glories of Krishna, serving the devotees, and chanting his holy names, then Krishna will save us from this demon. So this article I picked up, which was spoken by His Holiness Radhanath Swami, and I have a nice picture here that Srila Prabhupada's disciples, they drew this picture, taking the description from Srimad Bhagavatam, taking the instructions from Srila Prabhupada as to how to paint it. And this is a beautiful presentation of this demon that they have done along with tiny Krishna in his hands. And this literally gives us a real feeling of how it must have happened, how powerful that tornado must have been that took Krishna and that really devastated Vrindavan with high winds and everything. So we read the story, and we looked at the chart with this. Now, one more important aspect I want to bring to your attention. And as I said in the beginning, that these stories are representing different kinds of anarthas, and different kinds of anarthas. And the whole idea is that we need to work on them. We need to work on them, right? Because these anarthas are also present in our heart. And they, just like the demons were not able to get into an understanding of who Krishna is, we also have these inner mentalities, these inner dirty tendencies that are represented by these demons. And we also need to kill the demoniac qualities from our hearts that are bothering, that are making a hindrance in our bhakti. And for that purpose, I wanted to bring to your attention this particular verse from Bhagavad Gita, where Srila Prabhupada writes very nicely uh, of the same point. And let me open that chapter for you. It's a 10th chapter and verse number 5, 4 and 5. Okay. So what is being mentioned here, in this is the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. It says Vibhuti Yoga. And Krishna is explaining his own vibhutis, different opulences, Aishwarya, Yoga, Aishwaryas. And he lists many qualities, different kinds of qualities, good and bad. And then Krishna says that all these various qualities of living beings are created by me alone. That's what Krishna is saying, that these qualities are created by me alone in the human society. And we see those qualities, intelligence, knowledge, freedom from doubt and illusion, forgiveness, truthfulness, control of the senses, control of the mind, happiness and distress, birth and death, fear and fearlessness, non-violence, equanimity, satisfaction, austerity, charity, fame, and infamy. So there are some good and bad qualities always. Also, it's not just that the good qualities, but there are certain bad qualities that are also present here in this world, and Krishna has purposely created them as well. But I would like to bring to your attention the last part of the purport. Srila Prabhupada writes, what he says that all these qualities are manifest throughout the universe in human society and in the society of demigods. There are many forms of humanity on other planets, and these qualities are there as well. Now, for one who wants to advance in Krishna consciousness, Krishna creates all these qualities, but the person develops them within himself or herself, from within, from within the heart. So, one who engages in the devotional service of the Lord develops all the good qualities as arranged by the Lord. So, I wanted to make this point that these anarthas that we are asked, we are encouraged to work on, to remove from our hearts, we have to work on them because they are there. They are there in the present world, they are there in the universe, they are there even if you go to higher planetary systems. The good and the bad and the ugly will be there everywhere. It will be there. But the actual action of the devotee is that to give up the bad and to take up the good qualities. And for that purpose, Srila Prabhupada emphasizes here that we have to do that. We have to work on that. It will not come automatically just by sitting down and meditating. We'll have to work on those, in the sense that in the association of right devotees, we'll have to take guidance, because these devotees who are learned can also chastise us, point out our point out our weaknesses, point out our mistakes, and then we can humbly listen from them, we can correct them, and in that way we can remove our anarthas. So it's very important that first we work on our own anarthas in our own hearts. Everything is from within, nothing is from outside. Even your spouse doesn't have to know what you are working on, what kind of weaknesses you are struggling with, what kind of weaknesses you want to remove, you are really desiring to purify your heart. Your most loved person may or may not know, because everything is between you and Krishna. But we have to work on our own and then pray to Krishna that please help me remove these obstacles from my path, so that I can progress in my devotion to you very quickly. And that combination will really remove these demoniac qualities which are represented by different demons in Krishna Lila from our hearts also. And that one lesson, I feel like it's a really connecting to our lives, these lessons. Otherwise we do not sometimes realize as to why we are learning about these different demons, because sometimes it happens that one after the other story, Krishna kills this demon, Krishna kills that demon, then Balram kills one demon. But if we don't know the real purpose of it, sometimes we will not take benefit of these Krishna Katha or Krishna Leelas. So it's very important that we remain in the association of devotees, so we can learn the real meaning, the real significance of these Krishna Leelas. And also, in our daily japa practice, when we sit and chant, meditate, these could be our prayers from very inside the heart, from within the heart, that please, Krishna, here's my heart. I know I'm working on it, but I'm unable to work on my own. Unless you do something, you remove the obstacles, you purify me, um, I will not be able to get success. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that Cheto Darpan Marjanam, we have to literally wash or cleanse the heart, but then also pray to Krishna for help. And then Krishna Nam was Nama Prabhu, we are chanting his holy names. So that Nama Prabhu will do the rest of the purification for us. And this is the humble meaning I gathered from this story of Trunavarta. And I will humbly request um, anyone else to speak up, to share their thoughts. or if there's anything like a point or a lesson that you learned from this story which I did not speak, please share that with us so we all can learn from you.
Hare Krishna Mataji, nice story and nice explanation, and you gave the good meaning, and we understood that.
Thank
But
you.
we have to introspect first ourselves, that what is inside us, and realize our, anartha, what anartha we have it, or we may have to take a guru's help to find our anartha. We may not realize ourselves alone, but guru may guide us where what is our anartha, and then we have to work on it.
Yes. But then also the stories from all Mahabharat, Ramayana, and Srimad Bhagavatam, all the personalities that are described there, they, if you learn their stories, within your heart, you can immediately figure out, oh, I also have this tendency. I also have this anartha. I also have this undesirable quality. So there is a self-learning also, because sometimes the guru may not be able to tell you directly, um, or point out directly, because sometimes um uh they may depending upon this relationship with the guru, um
Because we don't
there may not be
stay in a
forced that
gurukula.
directly they tell you, huh?
In olden days, people used to stay in a gurukul, so
Yeah,
teacher knows right away. But now
yeah.
we don't stay in the same place
Yeah,
together.
yeah, very true. Nowadays, people think twice if they want to point out your defect. They may not be that straightforwardly telling you. But you're right. In Gurukula, there was nothing like that, because the teacher, the student totally surrenders to the teacher. The student teachers surrenders to the teacher, so that the teacher has full scope to chastise. But for us, staying in the association with devotees, and that is the reason, if we take up different services, then our mentality, our demeanor can be observed by senior devotees, and they can help us. They can guide us, like, oh, this is something you might want to work on. They will point out. So it's important to stay in the association of devotees, actively stay in the association of devotees, so that we can naturally um, observe ourselves. Because there will be a situation like a service situation, right? We are not just sitting at home and like in front of the screen. We are sitting and we are just studying. That may not be enough for us to actually learn what's there in our hearts, inside the hearts. Because inside the heart, our own mind will deceive ourselves. Our own mind will tell us, oh, you know what, this was my childhood situation, and that's why I have this quality, so I'm okay, I'm not wrong. So we will have our own ways to hide and deceive our own selves. But when we come to the front, for the forefront, just like a battlefield, so this seva, this different kind of services, when we do, we are actually on the forefront, on the ground level. And when we act, when we have urges to speak, when we have urge to correct other people, when we become proud, different scenarios might come up, and they will give us an opportunity to observe ourselves. They will give us the opportunities for other senior devotees to point out and guide to us. So yeah, that's what my humble
And
understanding.
sometimes that is also difficult. Everybody is diplomatic. They don't tell you.
That's true.
Nobody wants to hurt each other. So
That's true. So that's why then, on a personal level, your study, your meditation, your meditation on different personalities. Look at Mahabharata; it's full of different kinds of people, and then just by learning, there's a small amount of purification that happens every time. Because as we learn these stories, Krishna is working on the hearts; he's purifying our heart, right? So there are all these different combinations. You learn a little bit on your own. You go to the devotees and learn from them, and you learn by these stories, different combinations. And just by the passage of time, as you progress, Nama Prabhu is working on us. So all different kinds of methods will gradually, but slowly, but pure, surely will make us pure.
thank you, Mataji. Dandavat.
Thank you for your very intelligent question. It shows that you think very deeply. Anything that is spoken in the class, really, you take it to heart and make wonderful questions. Thank you, Nirumataji, from the core of my heart.
Just one question, Mataji. Very good, very amazing class. Mataji. I'm not regular, so I'm trying to join also. Uh,
Sure.
you mentioned about arrogance. There's a very fine line difference between knowledge, having knowledge, and uh, being inquisitive to learn more versus showing arrogance. Even though you don't intend to, your words sometimes are not really soft enough, or you don't choose those right kind of words. How
Mm.
do we handle it? Uh,
So in our hearts, I think the intention is the most important, because if our intention is always pure, um, then even though we are chastising another person, say for example, as you said, sometimes it's hard not to use the harsh words, but if our intention is good, then we will be using our authority with the right purpose. And sometimes, um, uh, it is important to utilize our authority, and for that reason we may sound a little bit harsh, but if our intention is good, if our intention is always to do another person's welfare, then that authority using or using harsh words is not hurting another person, because eventually in due course of time they come to know that yes, this person has a good intention. And that's, I think that's the key basically. It's always, you need to think about other people's welfare while you are helping them or chastising them or disciplining them, so that, because Krishna is watching our hearts as Paramatma. So even if there's a in this material world, there's politics, other things, but if we are honest with Paramatma and Paramatma is guiding us, then we are okay.
right.
Thank you. Hi Krishna.
Hare Krishna Govinda Nandini Mataji. Wonderful class as usual. Thank you so much. Very nicely explained, Mataji. And yeah, as you said, it's a Trunavati is a representative of like showing how we get popped up, right? So very nicely, these pastimes are showing us how Krishna was little, right? When he
Mhm.
takes him and he like take him in the that Tunava takes Krishna in the sky, right? Very high. And then he becomes heavier, right? So same thing when sometimes like we are well, it's a human we are human beings, right? So we also sometimes get like abhiman and all that. So Krishna shows he, he takes us and then we just come down.
Drops it.
So we are in this parampara. Sometimes somebody praises, right? But we have very nice thing. Like we say all glories to Srila Prabhupada. We always give credit to Srila Prabhupada. So I was just meditating on that. Like even if we popped up, we have that consciousness. Oh, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Because of Srila Prabhupada only we got this. So
Mhm.
I was just thinking and wanted to share like we means very less chance for us to getting popped up, right? So
Yes.
it's really wonderful,
It's
Mataji.
a beautiful point you made, that always we give all the credit to Srila Prabhupada. Yes. Because of him, we have all the knowledge. There's no scope for getting puffed up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for pointing that out.
Haribol.
Hare Krishna. I think, if anybody has any other comment, otherwise we can close. We can stop here. All right. Everybody's okay, like, if we stop.
Mataji, the book you quoted is available on online, so we can read it, or we have to buy it.
No, which book you said? 1 second, let me show you.
Famous.
This one?
Yeah, this one. Yeah.
No, this is just an article, and if you go down into the bottom, it says, this particular devotee is a Prabhupada disciple. So his name is Stephen Knapp. So if you go www.stephen-knapp.com, then you can read all his books. His books are amazing, really amazing. But you can see most of it online. You don't have to buy a book. You just go to the website and see. And he's an old timer. He writes wonderfully. I have another book of his of this author. It says the prayers and mantras and gayatris, in the Hindu tradition. So he has given an exclusive collection of all the prayers and the mantras from our Vedic tradition in one book. So if you just go to the website, and you will find some resources there, Mataji.
Okay, thank you.
And the other one also I would like to show, that I took from radhanathswamiyatras.com. So there's a particular class by Radhanath Swami on Trinavartas. So I read that out to you. That was another source that I used. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Mataji.
All right. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hey.
Raj Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. And all glories to Radha Shyam Sundar. And thank you all very much. Vancha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sandubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hari.
Good
Hari.